Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Homelessness in the Bahamas. Tonight, 4 people share their story about how they ended up on the street.
The National Security Minister puts a price tag on much-needed renovations at the Department of Corrections.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, former Cabinet Minister and Ambassador C.A. Smith has apologized to Governor General Dame Marguerite Pindling and the Prime Minister amid backlash over his announcement that he will be the next Governor General and will even be sworn in at Government House this month. The premature announcement was captured in a video that has been making the rounds on social media. Jared Higgs has a story.
In a statement released by Smith on Monday, he explains that at a farewell luncheon with the Foreign Affairs staff in Freeport on Friday last, in strictest confidence, I shared with them my plans for the future and told them that I was being appointed to the office of Governor General. I wish to assure the Bahamian public that this was a private discussion that was never intended to be made public. I extend sincerest apologies to Governor General, Her Excellency Dame Marguerite Pindling, and to the Most Honourable Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and the government for any embarrassment or inconvenience resulting from this unintended breach of protocol. In the video, Smith announces to a group at Grand Bahama's Passport Office that he has tendered his resignation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as non-resident ambassador to 6 Central American countries.
As a result of Her Majesty the Queen appointing me to be a Governor General, I found it necessary to have to resign from the position that I had to be transited to another position.
He added that his swearing in as Governor General would take place on the last Friday of June in Nassau, adding that special provisions would be made with the national flag carrier and everybody in attendance would be invited.
But I understand that we may be arranging for Bahama Air to put on a couple of flights, reduce the cost for one day, so that my friend from Grand Bahama could be there.
The government has not released a statement about Smith being appointed as Governor General. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also not released any information about Smith resigning as ambassador. Dame Marguerite Pindling, widow of former Prime Minister Sir Lyndon Pindling, has served as Governor General since July 2014. Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Brave Davis says he was not consulted on Smith's appointment. He also added that the video is a violation of all protocols and conventions, as well as an insult to Dame Marguerite. A statement released by Davis said, I was shocked out of my socks to see the statement by former Ambassador C.A. Smith on video that he has been appointed by the Queen to be Governor General. This is a violation, in my view, of all protocols. These announcements must come from the Queen and normally do not come until the Queen has agreed that the now Governor General should demit office. This is another example of the loosening of standards under the F&M. Anything goes, and our traditions and conventions are dispensed without so much as a by your leave. Davis added, to make matters worse, Mr. Smith goes on to predict that the national airline is going to make special arrangements for his swearing in as Governor General. Who will pay the price for those arrangements, and does he now speak for Bahamas Air? Smith, who lives in Grand Bahama, previously served in the House of Assembly and in the Cabinet, as well as in diplomatic positions. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Panhandlers on the streets of New Providence are a daily sight for motorists. Many of them are believed to be suffering from a mental health issue or a drug addiction. Well, our news team took a closer look at the issue. In this report, our Jillian Gray shares the stories of 4 vagrants.
Their wild hair, shaky hands, and overall straggly appearance may get some passing glances or spare change. But for many, vagrants have become part of the landscape when traversing the streets of New Providence. On Nassau Street, just steps away from the traffic light, stands a woman who's been homeless for about 10 years. She doesn't know her age, says she has about 6 or 7 children, and told our team that many simply call her the Nag and Bag Lady. Her real name is ADRIANNA, and though she is able to collect almost $50 per day, she said pickpocketing is a problem.
Is the money enough for you to get food and stuff like that?
Mind you, it is. I mean to the food that you like, right? maybe but people think that the body don't need. A lot of people think just whatever is given to you is good to eat. You know, like they don't think about what your body might need or your brains. You see, so it's difficult out here.
The former landscaper said an abandoned building in the area is where she lays her head at night. She has very little contact with her children, who range in age from 30 to 9 years old. As we began to dig into Adrianna's past to ask her about her battle with drug addiction and how she ended up in her present state, she became emotional and walked away, telling our team that thinking about her past was too difficult. When we returned a few days later, she was more inclined to speak and confirmed that she had used cocaine and other drugs in her life. Asked if she wanted help, Adrianna said she was previously ordered by the court to go to rehab, but the long hours in locked rooms with little ventilation felt like jail.
It's boring. It's too. If you're only going to rehab, it feels like jail, prison. But I understand because there's a lot of, it's more safety, right? Yeah. But I still think it's more like prison.
So,
you know, I think the whole daytime, especially if it's sunshine, that you should actually be outside, right? To walk, you know, everywhere, you know, because you have security. You know?
Just a few feet away from Adrianna was Billy Robinson, who said he's been homeless for about 10 years as well. He only recently had to begin begging for money after losing the few odd jobs that kept him afloat. Those jobs used to pay him up to $400, all of which he admits went on liquor. Robinson said he used to be a taxi driver and lived with his mother, but his battle with alcoholism caused him to lose both. He said he's attended rehab at least 10 times before.
Yeah, they can need some time off the streets. Not saying it can make anything better. Like if it's a program of 30 or 20, maybe one will survive because the next rest will go probably doing the same thing.
The 44-year-old said he began to lose his way around the age of 25 and offered this advice for young people.
Be smart, stay in school, learn your way, go to college, take up a trade, do something.
Now, while Robinson and Adrianna were coherent enough to tell us their story, we met a man on Blue Hill Road who seemed to be losing track of time.
I was 5,000 years old, and to be truthful, what I put it to get by in this bomb is because most people think I'm crazy or exaggerating or hallucinating. The Honduran them grow up to all 5, 6, 10 million years if they get a real treatment. All right.
Now, not everyone we met was suffering from addiction. Berkeley Sands, a native of Andros, said he's been homeless for about 9 months. The former fisherman had traveled to New Providence to receive physical therapy after suffering from a stroke. Sands sleeps near the Clarence A. Bain building and said eating usually only happens when someone extends a helping hand. Though the 54-year-old has a son, he said his son cannot assist him at this time. And his goal now is to get away from this hard life he's come to know and get back to Andros.
I am trying to get back to Andros because, you know, I was trying to plan a trip for June the 7th. We haven't have a homecoming coming back. Homecoming back to Andros, 7th of June. I'm trying to go back at that time. Go back home, you know.
Do you have enough funds to get back there?
No, I don't. I don't have. Everybody would have it when the times arrive, you know. I trust in and hoping that they would have it, you know.
As for Adrianna, she said her hope for a better life involves owning her own farm.
I would want a field. Some parts lawn, some parts like a fruit garden, a vegetable garden, some with medium trees and big trees. Only with onions and sweet pepper though.
Like a nice home?
No, if it's a home, I want an outdoor home.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks, Jillian. Minister of National Security Marvin Dames revealing today that the cost of bringing the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services up to 21st century standards will top $1 million. His comments come after BDOC's Commissioner Charles Murphy told our news team that there are plans to build an entirely new facility to alleviate overcrowding. Jasmine Brown has the story.
Dame says while they're still working out the price tag on those renovations, he says they will no doubt top $1 million.
I
anticipate that as we continue to correct and to renovate and to build, yeah, we'll be over that number. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of work to do.
The National Security Minister was candid in his comments as he insisted work at the prison is long overdue for the sake of the inmates and the officers who are forced to work in less than ideal conditions.
That's certainly one of the departments that have been neglected for a very long time. We're changing that.
Renovations at the Department of Corrections were exclusively outlined to our news team by Prison Commissioner Charles Murphy just over a week ago. Completed renovations include 2 of the blocks in the maximum security unit, which are now outfitted with ductless AC units and flat-screen televisions. Murphy also revealed plans to build an entirely new housing unit to accommodate about 700 inmates at the rear grounds of the facility by the end of next year. He could not put a price tag on the facility, but he did say the goal is to address the prison's long-standing overcrowding problem. Dames insisted it is still too early to say exactly how much the new housing facility will cost, as they are still working on the plans.
We're not at that stage yet. There are significant. We're exploring it, and we're looking at any number of possibilities: a public-private partnership, or whether the government should do it alone.
As for how quickly they expect the transformation to take, Dame says nothing happens overnight. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
In other news, 26-year-old Ronaldo Thompson, seen here in the maroon shirt, and 38-year-old Antonio Colby, seen next to Thompson wearing white, were both charged with possession of forged documents related to the discovery of several Bahamian and foreign credit cards. Thompson was charged with 4 counts, while Colby faced 6 counts. Both men pleaded not guilty to the charges against them and were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. They will return to court on July 2nd and 12th, respectively, for trial. Well, an oil spill at ARAWAK is causing a bit of concern for government officials as well as the vendors in the area. The issue was brought to light after images surfaced on social media. A cool start to the summer for this group of kids taking a dive in waters off ARAWAK. But just a few feet away, oil among a bunch of rocks. All around it, business as usual, with jet skis riding past and kids going for a swim. The oil sits among the rocks at this revetment, just a few yards away from the beach. In it, you'd see old disposable food containers, plastic bubble wrap, and even an empty liquid detergent bottle. Not to be left out, an empty bottle of motor oil. And the oil in this area is thick. Not far away, the back of the popular food spot, Fish Fry. It's there that vendors hold their conch in the saltwater as a method of keeping them fresh until time to be prepared and served. Felton Sand says he's been making conch salad for years and says despite storing his product there, he's certain it's clean.
Well, we have a flowing tide this way, especially when tide is high. And as long as the water is flowing and live, the conch will always be good. No bacteria, nothing, and we can deal with it.
Sand said for added protection, he uses fresh water to clean his conch.
By the conch stand, we have fresh running water. We clean the conch properly, make sure that the environment is very safe and healthy for the people.
In a statement, Executive Chairman of the Bahamas Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority, Shannon Don Cartwright, said the Department of Environmental Health, Port Department, and oil spill teams have been mobilized to assess and contain the concerned area. He said presently there is no immediate concern for beachgoers on Long Wharf Beach as the spill is restricted to an area. However, we are advising the public to proceed cautiously when approaching the area of concern. For ARAWAK vendors like DWIGHT and ARMBRISTER, there is cause for concern because of the activity of boats and other watercraft nearby.
At any point in time, and then of course the cruise ships comes right in there as well, and then you have a lot of boat operators, tow operators, seaboat operators out in this front area here. And so there is a possibility, because they run with different oils, fuel, there's always that possibility that you could have oil spillage or persons just being careless in just throwing a motor oil that they would have mixed their gas with and throw that in the sea.
ARMBRISTER said he'd like to see it dealt with, but in the meantime, he is comfortable with his conch being kept where it is.
We get them in daily, and so there's no long period of storage in the water out front here. And I think that goes well, the fact that if you have any kind of spillage or oil spill that is trapped wherever they're trapped in the eastern border here, will have little effect on what we do here.
Still to come, the probe into the killing at Government House said to be progressing. Plus, BAIC and the Defense Force come together for transitional training. Stay tuned.